Hi everybody, I am Buck WSR Weezer, and I'm helping you put the do into do-it-yourself. And our do-it-yourself project today has to do with this 2003 Snapper riding lawn tractor. It's got an 11 horsepower single cylinder Briggs & Stratton Intek engine, and I've diagnosed it as having a blown head gasket. Now in a previous video I talked you through the symptoms of a blown head gasket. You could check out that video with the link right above. And now today we are going to walk our way through the repair of this project. We're gonna replace the head gasket. So I'm ready to get started. I'll walk you through the steps. Let's go. Step number one is to simply remove the engine cover. There's two bolts here in the front and two in the back. These here in the front require a Torx bit. This is a cool engine. It's got electric start. Also has the pull start, and I like having the option. Step two. Step two is to remove the valve cover, loosen the two rocker arms, and remove the push rods. I'm going to get a rag to put under here because you could get a little bit of oil spilling out here. Number 4. And yes, a little bit of oil coming out. Next we're going to loosen the rocker arms. These have a Torx bit in the middle, so let me go grab that, because that's what we want to loosen first. Once we do that, we can loosen we don't have to remove the rocker arms. Just loosen them enough to move them off of the push rods. And what you're going to notice is you've got two different push rods. The exhaust push rod is steel and the intake aluminum. So you want to keep them straight. Okay, so now step 2 is complete. Our next step is to take down the muffler. There's two bolts that hold it on, and this looks like a not sure what size Allen key this is. It's like a 6mm. It'll happen. Patience. New gasket kit for doing this cylinder head job includes a new exhaust gasket. So we're taking a muffler, unbolting the muffler from the cylinder head. Second bolt, there's the gasket, and that step is complete. Our next step is on the other side of the engine, unbolting the intake, carburetor intake manifold right there with 1, 2, probably 10mm or 3/8 bolts. It's not necessary to actually take the carburetor off. I may just release these two and let them hang. Maybe a good idea while we're doing this maintenance on this machine to clean that carburetor, but it's technically not necessary. It's just to take down the intake. Yep, 10mm will do it. Gasket kit includes a new intake gasket as well, so we will not have to save this gasket. I should have mentioned you don't need to drain the oil to do a cylinder head gasket replacement. I will be changing the oil as part of the maintenance that I'm doing on this machine. Alright, and that step is now complete. Next step we come to is the actual unbolting of the cylinder head. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bolts come down. And they look to be about a 1/2 inch. All right, so let's take these off. Sorry, I bumped you. Last one. And with that, the cylinder head comes down. Get my rag, got some oil. All right, it doesn't look too terribly bad in here. This is, there is a lot of carbon buildup as I anticipated. Judging from this side of the, and I want you to see this very carefully, here's the evidence of the blown head gasket. This piece right here, I should make sure you can see that. You can't. Right here, it's compromised. And so oil from this passage here makes its way here into the combustion chamber. And that's why we're getting the smoke and the leaking. It's clearly compromised right there. Also, if you look here, evidence here right on the block of that same problem with the oil making its way over into the combustion chamber. So I think we definitely diagnosed it correctly, and there's the evidence now that we're taking a look inside. All right, well, now we got to clean this all up as well, as good as we can, as best as we can. And we're going to clean the head too, because we want a nice, beautiful, clean surface. So pause the camera, I'll take care of that. We'll bring you back for the install. Our next step is to install the head back on, and the engine cleaned up really nice. That piston cleaned up really good. The cylinder head cleaned up pretty good as well. Here's the kit that we're going to use. It's original Briggs and Stratton. Part number 796189 gasket set. So you get the cylinder head gasket, exhaust gasket, these gaskets for the intake side, and the valve cover gasket. So we're about to install it again. So we're going to hang the new gasket on the 2 pins. Like so. And then we're going to get the cylinder head and the bolts, and we're going to bolt it up. Up in place. Start our bolts. I don't know how many I counted last time. to review the tape and see what I said. But there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I say 9 last time? I don't know. Yeah, so we're going to torque these down as per factory specifications. Right now I just want to wind it in a little bit. Okay. We'll run them in a little bit. Alright, that's good. They're all in now. I'm going to go get my torque wrench and we'll torque them down. Now, the torque specs for this cylinder head are 220 inch-pounds. My torque ratchet goes in foot-pounds, so divide by 12 and we're at 18 1/3. So what I want to do is, I want to do it in 2 sequences. I'm going to torque it at 15 and then I'm going to torque it at 19. So I think that'll be pretty close. There's 8 bolts and we want to use a alternating pattern. I'm going to start right here. And then I want to go down here. Then I want to go up here to this corner. And we'll go down to this corner. We'll go down to this corner. And up to this corner. And lastly, this guy right here. I say lastly, did I get 8? I don't know. We'll double check. Get this corner yet? No, I didn't. Alright, that's 8. Alright, and again, alternating pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've totally lost count. I think I got them all. Did I get this guy? Yes. 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 Alright, cylinder head is torqued down. Our next step is to reconnect the intake using this gasket that comes with a metal side. Okay. You may have noticed that I am not reinstalling this little shroud piece. It's covered with oil. I take it off. I don't think it serves much of a purpose, and I want increased airflow around this head and engine. This inhibits it. Grass and debris gets caught in there, not to mention all that crud and oil. So I sometimes opt not to put it back on, but that's just me. Alright, the intake's back on, that step's resolved. Next step is also to put back the muffler. Got the muffler, the bolts, the new gasket, the screaming children, him started. Okay.
This is a part of your ride. This is part of your whole ride. I'm saying about
Okay. I'm going to grab that with pliers. Tighten it down a little bit. That's it. Don't have to overdo it. All right, the muffler's back on. Good job. All right, our next task is to install the push rods and to reset the and adjust our valves. To do that, we need feeler gauges, which I have somewhere over here, and we're going to set both of them to 4/1000ths of an inch. The specs are somewhere between 5 and 7 thousandths. I'm going to put them both at 4, and I think that's actually going to be just fine. 4/1000ths of an inch, so there's our feeler gauges. I want to get our push rods. I'm going to remind you that we have two different kinds. The exhaust is a steel push rod, and that is the one that goes up by the top for our exhaust valve. I'm going to dip the end in a little bit of motor oil. Like so. And for now, I'm just going to tighten this a little bit. And we'll set it precisely in a moment. Next, we're going to take our intake push rod, and he's going to go in there. And again, set the rocker arm in place and just tighten it down a little bit. Now I got the engine at top dead center, piston all the way up, and so both of the valves are completely closed. So I'm going to set them with the valves closed. Hold that and tighten the Torx bit. Check again. It's a little bit loose. I'll tighten it just a bit. Right about like that. Hold the outer nut. Tighten the inner. Check again. A little bit loose. Loosen. Tighten that guy just a tad. And then tighten the Torx bit again. Still a little bit loose. Let's try tighter. Loosen. Tighten that down a bit. That feels pretty good. Hold that in place, tighten the inner screw, and try that. A little too tight. Let's try it again. Loosen, open that up a bit, and then tighten the inner. Let's try it. Alright, that feels pretty good. You can feel the drag, but it's not too stiff.
Okay, now we're going to do the same thing down here on the intake valve. Feels a little loose. Tighten it a bit. That feels alright. Hold the outer nut, tighten the inner, and check it again. Tad bit loose. Loosen the inner nut, tighten that guy a bit, and then tighten the inner nut. Check it again. Too tight. Trial and error, people, till you're happy with it. Alright, that feels pretty good. I like that. So at 4/1000ths of an inch on both of these, I think we're going to be good to go. Alright, so our valves are tightened, adjusted properly. Now we're going to install the valve cover. Okay, we're going to put the valve cover on. Now, some people like to use some Permatex gasket sealer on it, but it's not really necessary, and I'm not going to do so. That just makes it more troublesome when or if you need to when or if you need to adjust the valves again. So here's our cover. Be sure to install it with the engine information facing upward. That's always helpful. Alright, so tighten them down and hope it doesn't leak on you. Alright, my friends. All that remains is to put on the cover to the engine and fire it up. Before I do that, I'm going to do some other maintenance items. Changing oil down there. I may take down that carburetor and clean it out while we're here. And once we do that, we'll come back and we'll fire it up together. Well, it's all back together except for the engine cover, which I will put on a little bit. I wanted to fire it up. We've got it all back together. So let's see what we get. Alright, I think we solved it. It started up pretty easily, ran pretty good. No more smoking out the muffler, and I think we did it. So it feels pretty good. I'll finish putting it back together, put the cover on, and that'll be it. I want to thank you for joining me on this project. I appreciate your comments, questions, and if you like it, subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next video. Buck WSR Weezer, thanks.